Oh, it's been a while, but it's time to talk some AEW Dynamite. AEW Dynamite 300, their 300th episode of its tenure since starting back in 2019. As we continue to build up towards AEW All In, did this show deliver? Was it good? Was it bad? Well, we're going to go over this show from start to finish. So today, finally, of what feels like forever, we're finally going to get into some AEW Dynamite. I was able to watch this show, and we are going to dissect this show. I don't have a whole lot of time to do such, but we will make the most out of the time that I do have talking about this said show. If you have not caught our SmackDown review, that's right, I did talk SmackDown and the spoilers for that show, as the show was aired earlier this week, and it'll be pre-taped on Friday. So we did talk the spoilers for SmackDown. That should be up on the channel as of right now by the time you guys watch this video. So make sure you guys check the spoilers out. Some of you guys who are probably watching this at this point, SmackDown has, or at least their pre-tape show has already ended probably. So once again, I want to say happy 4th of July to everybody. Once again, thank you so much for continuing to like, follow, share, and thank you for everybody who is watching this on YouTube for 400 subscribers, man. Thank you guys so much. You guys fucking rock. Continue to spread the word and continue to stay tuned and stay notified for more content. So let's dive straight into some Dynamite. We still got about a week and a half or so of build left until AEW All In. There's going to be a whole lot going on that weekend because I won't even be in town that weekend. I will do my hardest to try to get some content. So make sure you also follow us. You can see the banner down below, Ruthless_Talk. I'll probably be doing a lot of reviews for both of those platforms. So make sure you guys are followed on our page, both of our pages, both Instagram and TikTok. Again, Ruthless_Talk is what our social medias are if you guys want to check out our content. So, with all that being said, let us dive straight into AEW Dynamite. This was AEW Dynamite 300, their 300th episode of AEW Dynamite. Again, I don't have a whole lot of time, so we are going to knock this out and talk about this show. The start of the show, man, was kick-ass. You had Hangman Adam Page is calling out Jon Moxley, and he is calling out Moxley to have a Texas death match to where he is going to put it all on the line, his health, his life on the line. Jon Moxley then comes out. Obviously, he says no. He's like, you don't want that, right? You don't have what it takes, right? I have what it takes. I thrive under pressure. It's a good damn promo segment from Moxley. Moxley has gotten a lot of shit, which is very bizarre. I don't know why that is. But Moxley was damn good here. Frickin' Hangman just slaps the taste out of Mox's mouth. Moxley and Hangman start to brawl in the ring. That's when the rest of the Death Riders came out. Marina Shafir is also out there as well. We'll get to Marina Shafir in just a second. They start to brawl with Hangman. Mox and Shafir kind of run off while Claudio and Wheeler Yuta are doing the deed for Moxley, taking him down or continuing the vicious attack. And then they scurry off. They think the damage is done. And Page gets up to his feet. It's like, is that the best you got? I'm still standing. And Claudio starts to make his way to the ring along with Yuta. The Ops come out to where the Ops are there to even up the odds. So they're like waiting for Claudio to get into the, or to jump back over the barricade. I think it was Samoa Joe, Will Hobbs, and Ibushi, I believe is his name. Again, I apologize if I'm botching that. At Yuta and Claudio, they start to kind of like slowly back away. They're like, oh, the odds are not in our favor. Marina Shafir, right, while Hangman is still in the ring, tries to hit Hangman over the head, back of the head, or from behind with the briefcase, which is all we can assume that's where the world championship is in that briefcase. And then Hangman blocks it. It's like, hey, it's like, be the champion you say that you are, right? Get in this ring, right? Give me a Texas death match. And Moxley, He's like conflicted. He's like, fuck it, I'm going to go in there. And then he doesn't get to the ring, but he gets by the barricade aisle and he says, all right, you got it, Texas Death. And then Hangman slowly gives the briefcase back to Marina Shafir, who's still on the canvas, kind of scared half to death in a way, but she's giving back the briefcase. And then Hangman goes to walk off. He's like, all right, I got what I got, right? I got everything I needed, which was a Texas Death match. All right, I'm sold. But Hangman was like, nah, man. He sends another message to Mox. He's like, by the way, man, just to remind you of the fact that I do have what it takes. You say that I don't have what it takes, but here's a reminder to let you know that I do have what it takes to beat you, or I will do anything as far as what it takes that it's going to beat you at AEW All In. And out of nowhere, bro, buckshot lariat to Marina Shafir. Marina turns around and she eats a fucking buckshot lariat. Marina Shafir does the deed. I got to give Marina Shafir credit. She took another bump. I believe it was a Blade Runner from Jay White a while ago, I should say, to Jay White. And she does the deed, taking this buckshot lariat from Hangman Adam Page. So that's kind of seals the segment to where like, oh, you say that I don't have what it takes to go the extra mile, right? That I'm willing to die, or I'm willing to, give it everything as far as taking that title away from you. Well, I'll freaking take out your gal here, freaking Marina Shafir. Wheeler Yuta's face was hilarious. He's like, what the fuck did he just do? So this was damn good, man. This was damn good. Not only obviously was your, of course, accomplishment was to make this match a Texas Death match, but where everybody was placed is what made this segment so damn good. The ops, to where even though I can't stand sometimes multiple people being thrown into one single segment, but it's how people were placed to where you're not just sending people out there just to brawl or to create chaos, right? It was all for a particular story being told, right? The ops, they have their issues with the Death Riders, so they're going to be there for Hangman to fend off against the Death Riders, right? And then, Moxley, being threatened by Hangman to, I guess, to put his hands on Marina Shafir, and now he's kind of like caught in a rock and a hard place, and he has no choice but to accept the matchup as for a Texas Death match at AEW All In. And then, freaking Hangman with the ultimate FU to Jon Moxley. He's like, I'm still gonna take her out, even though you gave me my matchup, you gave me what I wanted. Here, I still have what it takes. And if you don't believe me, well, here's an example. Buckshot lariat to your gal Marina Shafir. Fucking loved it, man. I loved it. This man from start to finish was a really good opening segment to start off this show. It really was. I get it. Moxley's title reign hasn't been great, but Moxley, man, has done a tremendous job. He really has. I really do like Moxley. I like his promos, how he comes across, his believability, his mannerisms. And I get it. The title reign hasn't been great. I understand. But he's everything. He is playing the role of what you want in a heel, right? And I think Moxley is doing that to the best of his ability of what's given to him. Hangman and Page, even though I'm not a big Hangman and Page fan, and as much as I would take somebody like Will Ospreay, to where I think Will Ospreay just has a lot more to offer. Not saying that Hangman doesn't have anything to offer, but I just see superstardom in Will Ospreay, him being truly the guy, and a guy that is believable to take that title from Moxley. But if your plan is to do that with Hangman and Page, to where this is the final straw, though, for Hangman, because this is not the first time that we tried to put the rocket on Hangman, and let's face it, it didn't go as planned the way Tony Khan would hope it for. But the way that this has been building up, man, to where lately Hangman Adam Page, whether you like him or not, has been in a lot of memorable and interesting and captivating moments and feuds with Swerve, with Christopher Daniels, and now lately with Jon Moxley, and even, again, some of his other run-ins with Swerve Strickland over the last several weeks. So where a lot of it, even though you may not be a fan of Hangman Adam Page, but guess what? A lot of AEW's best moments over the last several months to a year has involved Hangman and Page. And for that, I got to give props where props is due, man. And he does his part extremely well. So even for me to where I would choose a Will Ospreay over a Hangman and Page to dethrone somebody like Moxley. But if you make me care in segments like this, then I'm on board if you want to have Hangman and Page be the guy to win that championship and be the ultimate face, the guy in this company to take that title from Jon Moxley. I wouldn't have any problem with it. Unless Tony Khan just wants to call an audible and say, let's have Moxley keep the title. Can you imagine the fucking uproar? Oh my goodness. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the writing is on the wall that Hangman will win this championship at AEW All In. So, but we'll see, man. But a damn good segment. Just where everybody was placed was the most important thing. Everything made sense. The story progressed of getting that Texas death match, but also proving to Moxley that, you're wrong. Like, I do have what it takes to beat you. I am willing to go the extra mile. I am willing to do this. And if you don't believe me, my actions are going to tell the talking. Boom. So Hangman got everything and then some as far as sticking it to Jon Moxley. And you got another week left to build. So I'm sure they're going to have Moxley gain the upper hand for next week. If you tell it properly, if you do what you got to do, then this is going to set up pretty well for Hangman to take that championship, as I'm sure they're both going to do extremely well for what the match is being told. And it makes sense, too, to do a Texas death match, right? To where, like, listen, I already know the Death Riders are going to get involved. I already know what your antics are going to be, Jon Moxley. I'm already a step ahead of you. If you really, are what you say you are, you would make this a Texas death match. Jon Moxley being the heel, saying like, it's like, you don't have what it takes, man. Like, I have everything that it takes, right? Like, don't try to play this ultimate good guy and think like that you have what it takes to beat me and all of this stuff. Like, it was great. It was good. It was good. It was good, man. So I really enjoyed that. I really did. And I was captivated by it. I'm not going to lie. To a degree, I was slightly captivated. It was Marina Shafir taking that buckshot was the cherry on top. So overall, man, for what this was, and to start the show off with some fireworks, man, this is how you do it. Really good stuff from Tony Khan. Really good stuff from everybody involved. Mercedes defeats Mina Shirakawa and defends her TBS championship. Toni Storm is at ringside. Toni Storm was told by Mina to not get involved in this match, and she didn't. Mercedes wins this match via the ultimate roll-up finish, the inside cradle, the roll-up finish, the most devastating maneuver in pro wrestling. Afterwards, Mercedes attacks Mina. Toni tries to come to the aid for Mina. Mercedes runs off. She runs back into the ring, does a cheap shot to Toni. And then that's it. Mercedes stands tall. This was her 1,000th matchup in her wrestling career, I believe. So yeah, listen, I've actually have enjoyed this storyline. I know for some people, they feel like there's still a lot more that can be tapped into. I agree. The whole opening promo segment between these two a couple weeks ago, I thought was done very well. I thought the attack from AEW Grand Slam to where Grand Slam in Mexico, I believe, to where Mercedes was attacked by Toni Storm after she won, I believe it was with her 6th championship. So they're giving her championship after championship, and the fans who call her Mercedes Hogan, right? They just want to are not happy about it because they just don't like Mercedes and holding on to all of these championships, even though it's like, I've said this in a video. It's like, look at who she's beating, bro. Like, come on, man. It's just like, it's more than believable for Mercedes because of the fact she's the best wrestler in the world, arguably, or at least one of. I arguably could say she's the best right now. The attack from Toni Storm, then Mercedes responds with attack of her own, like, you embarrassed me. How dare you embarrass me? Mina's involvement to where it does give her a little bit of leadway of Mina to put her in a storyline. Would I've had her get rolled up this week in that sort of scenario? No. I did think this week was probably the most underwhelming part of this story. Over the last several weeks, I think they've done a very solid job. But this week, man, I think there was more than to be desired, if that makes sense. Like, I get it. Toni Storm, she was told not to get involved, and she obliged by her friend Mina who was wrestling Mercedes for this TBS title. She obliged to that, but I still think there was more to be desired. As we only got a week and a half left, so hopefully they got something planned next week for this final build up until that, for this matchup for All In. So yeah, I mean, the match is what's gonna carry everything else because it's Mercedes and it's Toni. But if you look on Collision, if you've watched Collision, if you checked out Dynamite, and if you checked out the trajectory of this story, like Mercedes is trying to one up, Toni, saying like, you guys are playing checkers, I'm playing chess, trying to be the dastardly heel, which you should be doing, right? Like Mercedes should be the one as the heel getting the one up on Toni Storm, right? That should be happening. But for this week, man, I just think that we could have just done a little bit more. It just felt underwhelming. It kind of just felt flat. Just a simplistic attack from behind, and that was really it. And a roll-up finish to where I don't know. I just can't stand the roll-up finish because I just see it all the time in pro wrestling. So yeah, but let's move on. In the show, MJF wins a Casino Gauntlet match for AEW All In, defeats Brody King, AR Fox, and Anthony Bowen. So he is the number 2 entry to the Casino Gauntlet for All In. He's in a promo segment with Mark Briscoe. So Mark Briscoe challenges him to a talkie talk. You got a talkie talk chant from the crowd. Yeah, so they're also going into the comedic role, like MJF's got a tiny pickle. Kind of corny, kind of silly. But for MJF, because of how versatile MJF is, if you were gonna put anybody in this sort of like, oh hey, you got a tiny pickle, right? Obviously, we know what we're referring to. It's MJF, because MJF is just that damn good. So you got a balance of a lot of things in this show, right? The wrestling, the seriousness, which was the Hangman Moxley segment, a little bit of comedy, if you're into that, right? To each their own. So I think the whole pickle thing is silly. That's my nitpick. But if you are going to put anybody to do this type of shtick, it's MJF. To where like it's the same type of like, Miz and his tiny balls. Do y'all remember that whole spiel? To where like people would chant tiny balls and the Miz like, I don't have tiny balls. Like it works because it's the Miz, because the Miz is so versatile. MJF is the same way. So that's just how I look at it. It is silly, I agree, but because MJF works in this type of scenario, it doesn't come across as bad. Like there's a bit more good than outweighs the bad in this scenario. So if you don't like it, I get it. Trust me, I completely get it. I'm not going to be oblivious to people not liking this type of tiny pickle comedy spiel. So trust me, I get it. So they're going to have a promo battle next week. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of pickle jokes in this segment. So who knows, man? The Hurt Syndicate is being taken out by what? A freaking a speedball Michael Bailey and a Kevin Knight. Come on, I don't know, man. I just these two guys, these dudes who are, let's face it, average size, going up against the Hurt Syndicate, right? We hurt people. Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. Come on, man. I just would have not gone that route at all. The Hurt Syndicate, I'm sorry, now with MJF, to where I get it. You want to play more of the comedic role because it's MJF, but you still got to make Hurt Syndicate look dominant. Like you got to make them feel dominant. Like they can legit hurt people whenever the fuck they feel like it, whenever they see fit. And they just get taken out by Speedball and Kevin Knight. That I don't like. But who knows? That's just something that has been very inconsistent with the Hurt Syndicate, but we shall see as far as where that whole spiel is leading to. So they gotta start what's the word I'm looking for? They gotta start getting that right with the Hurt Syndicate, because I'm sorry, man. I just don't believe that those two types of dudes would take out a guy like Lashley and Benjamin in the Hurt Syndicate, whose phrase is that they hurt people. And the Hurt Syndicate, not only is it not believable for them to just be taken out by average sized dudes, right? multiple times, by the way. This isn't the first time. And as well as it's not really making the Hurt Syndicate look as such. I'm sorry, it's just not. Moving on into the show. I think there was a trios match that happened in the show. I think it was the Bucks, it was Takeshita, and I think Bandito, and who else was in this match? Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. So like heroes versus villains. His advertisement was for some movie, some Marvel movie, I think. So after the match, though, you had Swerve and Will Ospreay to where they hit the ring. They take out the EVPs. They retreat up the rampway, and they both get on the microphone. And Swerve wants an answer from the EVPs. We're like, hey, we put out the challenge. You put your EVP titles on the line. I still haven't got an answer. And I love this response from the EVPs, like both Nicholas and Matt Jackson. Like, okay, like no, like we're not going to do this. Like, what do you like? Are you insane? It's like, what are we getting this in return? Like, we're no, like unless you guys put something on the line, like we're not gonna accept this match. Absolutely not. So Will Ospreay then cuts in and says, you know what? Is like, listen, if we lose this match, then me and Swerve can't challenge for the world championship for 1 year. And Swerve Strickland's like, the fuck? What are you talking? Wait, what? Are you insane? What? And then both the Bucks are just like, oh, is that so? All right, well, if Swerve accepts, then you got a deal. And Swerve, who is very conflicted, is like, I don't like this, man. I don't like this idea, but he says, screw it, you're on. I like it, man. I like it. Listen, is it just a generic, maybe not a generic, but is it just a tag match? Yes. But now you're given something as far as this tag match for All In. At least there's some suspense. There's something on the line here to where it doesn't just feel like a tag match. Like, oh, it's like, I don't like you. You don't like me. I'm sick of you and your EVP, antics. Let's have a tag match. No, let's make this interesting. Put something on the line to where it's giving you some reason of where this can go. Are the EVPs going to drop their EVP titles, right? Or their, stature as EVPs, or is Swerve and Will Ospreay going to take the L and now they can't challenge for the world title within a year? I think they're starting to kind of learn their lesson from the whole Cody incident, to where with Cody, like I think it was some type of feud. I forget who it was, but like if he lost the matchup, he could never, ever challenge or go after the world championship ever again. And it kind of just put Cody just in a weird spot, in a rock and a hard place, to where you just put yourself in a weird spot. And it doesn't really, and that was kind of just the end of Cody's tenure in AEW, to where you put yourself in such a weird position. And I think Tony Khan and this company kind of learned from that, to where let's make things a little bit more astray, right? Let's kind of like, make this more of a situation to where we're not gonna, put people in a rock and a hard place, if that makes sense, as far as putting something on the line for a tag match between the Bucks, Swerve, and Ospreay. So I like the believability of it with the Bucks. Like, hey, like, what do we get in return? We're not going to put our EVP titles on the line and you guys don't put anything on the line. Like, no, like no, absolutely not. So it's giving you a reason to at least watch this match. So I don't mind it. It's simple. I think it's very effective. Is it great? No. But it achieved what it needed to. And I'm interested to see where it goes, man. So really good stuff from Swerve. Really good stuff from Ospreay. Swerve still being conflicted of like, I don't know if this is the right call, man. And then Ospreay's like, listen, like we got these guys, like they're not going to beat us, right? Like we need to take down these guys, right? Not really desperation, but willing to do anything it takes to take down the Bucks and their antics as EVP. So I like it. There's more good than bad. There is some bad. I can understand where people would kind of dissect the bad from this. But I think there was more good than outweigh than bad here. So overall, pretty solid stuff from all of these individuals. And then Ospreay and Swerve, they win their tag match against Mortos and Dralistico. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And then the main event, The main event was Kota Ibushi versus Okada in the main event. Damn solid, good main event. So that's what I mean, man. You got a good variety of the show, really good wrestling. You got really good storytelling and segments, and you got some comedic stuff, right? Take it or leave it with MJF and Mark Briscoe. Okada does win this matchup via pinfall, via his Rainmaker. Kenny Omega returns to where Callis, was in the ring, celebrating and everything with Romero, Lance Archer. They look to continue a beatdown on Ibushi, and then that's when Kenny Omega comes out for the save. Trent Beretta tries to do a sneak attack, but to no avail. Both Ibushi and Omega lay him out, and the Don Callis family, along with Okada, retreat, and then that's your show. So not a great, spectacular ending to the show, but not horrible or bad either. I would have done a little bit more with Omega because last time Omega was on TV, he was taken out on a stretcher. So I would have done this a little bit more to make this more of a big deal for Kenny Omega, right? Maybe he's meaning, he's waiting for Okada in the parking lot to where, Okada wins this match, they're celebrating, and when he least expect it, Omega's there to annihilate Okada from behind in the parking lot, right? And they're brawling and everything, right? And then they try to find a getaway vehicle, and Okada and Don Callis family, they find their getaway vehicle and they run off, and then boom, we fade to black. That would have been pretty damn cool, man. For the little amount of time you still or only have left in AEW All In, I would have changed the scenery up a little bit, man. I would have done a little bit more for Kenny Omega and Okada in this big matchup, because this is going to be a damn good matchup if you guys know their history from New Japan. So again, not a bad way to end the show, but I do think we just could have done more, man. I do think we could have done more for a return. But overall, man, for this show, man, this was decent. This was a very decent show. Obviously for their big 300th episode, you knew that there was going to be a lot put into it. And now you get to see how Tony Khan and this company responds for their go-home show next week. They definitely got to deliver there. But I'm seeing a lot more good than bad, man. If you come across this platform to where, I know I'm very extra critical and harsh over WWE, and you see me talk a lot more positively about AEW, and you want to paint the narrative that I'm a tribalist, no, motherfucker. I'm just calling it for what it is. And the honesty and the truth is that AEW is doing a lot more with their shows, and they have a lot more to offer than WWE. Their shows flow a lot better. Their shows make more sense. There's more intriguing segments, intriguing storylines. That's just the truth, bro. That's just the truth. And for wrestling fans that have the common sense and logic and understand what it means to not just like something, but understand what something is trying to be accomplished. A lot was accomplished in this show. It just was. Yes, there was some bad. I get it. There was still a lot of bad that I definitely would have changed if I had the booking pen. But overall, man, I did not mind this show at all. I've enjoyed what AEW has had to offer. Definitely, they have a lot of momentum heading into AEW All In, and they got to capitalize on it, man. And I love the fact that they're not letting WWE's counter programming affect what they're doing with their television product. And I think that's great to see. So shout out to Tony Khan, shout out to AEW. Decent show. I think they can definitely do better, but for what the show was overall, this was a damn solid show, and hopefully they continue to capitalize it on their go-home show next week. And that is all I got, man. Thank you guys so much. This was your AEW Dynamite review, AEW 300, their 300th episode of AEW Dynamite. Again, this was the only amount of time that I have to talk about AEW at all this week, but thank you guys so much for watching. Again, you see the banner down below, Ruthless_Talk on TikTok and Instagram. Want to thank everybody so much. We're now well over 3,000 followers on TikTok, and now at 400 subscribers on YouTube. You guys are the freaking best. Continue to spread the word, stay notified for more content, and stay tuned for what's going to be a busy couple of days in the world of pro wrestling. So stay tuned for all of it to come. That is going to do it for today's episode, everybody. My name is James Porcelli. I am signing off saying salute, peace out, and take care, everybody. Toodles!
The skin is dry and pale. The pain will never